they get motivated enough to get off the couch, okay, take the leap of faith and vote for the Democratic Party, you come in here and you argue against that principle, you are arguing for the Democratic Party to lose, okay? You are arguing for the Democratic Party to lose. That's what you're doing. And you've done this in 2016. You did this in 2020. Give me something.
America.
And the
like
things
bringing
that I
down
want,
the cost of living.
And the things that I want are you know, pretty valid. Things that I want are openly popular things that everyone else wants as well.
But that's not what we heard from Donald Trump. Instead, it was the same old show, that same tired playbook that we've heard for years, with no plans for how he would address the needs of the American people. Because, you know, it's all about him. It's not about you. Well, folks, I said it then, I say it now. It's time to turn the page. Turn that page. Because, to your point, America is ready for a new way forward. We are ready for a new generation of leadership that is optimistic about what we can do together. That is why Democrats, Republicans, and independents are supporting our campaign. Over 200 people who worked for President George H.W. Bush, President George W. Bush, John McCain, and Mitt Romney have endorsed me for president. Former Vice President Cheney and Congresswoman Liz Cheney are supporting me as well. Because,
like, I get why she's saying this, because she's in North Carolina. Okay? I get why she's saying this. She's in North Carolina. But that's like an ad, okay? That's an ad that you run in very specific suburbs. That's not what you come out of the gate swinging. Look at all the young black men behind you and young black women behind you. Look at all the young people behind you. They don't give a fuck about Cheney. They're just clapping because you're saying that, okay? I get why you would make this argument in North Carolina, make no mistake. But, like, that's not what you come out with, you know. That's not your like immediate posture, okay?
With affordable child care, paid leave, and affordable health care. A future where we build what I call an opportunity economy, so every American has an opportunity to own a home, to build wealth, to start a business. And, you know, I talked about it the other night. I love our small businesses. I really do. I love our small businesses. And there are many of whom are here. And
she loves her
and the thing about our small businesses is they are, you know, so first of all, my mother.
Chatters, what do you think is a larger number, okay? Regular workers or small business owners in this country, okay? Serious question. What number is larger? People who own small businesses or people who work in retail? People who own small businesses or people who work at fast food restaurants? People who own small businesses or people who are delivery drivers? Who do you think? What is the larger number? Okay.
$1,000 tax deduction to start up small businesses. Because, you know, not everybody started out with $400 million on a silver platter and then filed for bankruptcy 6 times. But a whole lot of people have the ingenuity, the entrepreneurship, the work ethic.
This is like electoral poison.
That kind of work, and just need to be
33 million small businesses in America. She's talking to 10% of that crowd statistically. Okay, here's also the funniest argument. Who do you think is larger in numbers? Small business owners or people who work at small businesses? That's it. There you have it. Okay? What's the larger number? Guy who owns a small business or you know, guy who works at a small business? Truly a tricky question.
I have a plan to lower the cost of living for America's families on everything from health care to groceries. Under my plan, more than 100 million Americans will get a tax break, and thousands of dollars of your hard-earned money.
What percentage of those groups donate and show up to vote? What are you talking about? In totality, the number is far larger. It doesn't matter if the higher percentage, there's a higher propensity of voters in one group over the other. Like what? At that point, you have the totality is significantly larger, chatter. What the fuck are you talking about? You're talking about millions of people versus hundreds of millions of people. Hello? Yeah, it's the start a small business, not continue a small business. It doesn't matter, dog. It doesn't matter. The reason why I'm saying that, what is the number of people who own a small business versus the number of people who work at small businesses, means people who even want to start a small business and have started a small business and have successfully continued their business, okay? It's a smaller number. There is a larger group of people out there with genuine issues in their lives, okay? And you can address some of those problems. You know what else is funny about this argument? If you were to make broad declarations in terms of policy, like saying stuff like, we're going to do federally mandated paid leave, okay? Every other country has it. We have to have it. You know who would benefit from that? Like a lot? Small business owners. You want to know why they benefit from it? Because they don't have to cover that anymore. That's not an amenity that they have to give to their workers. No one has money to start a small business. I'm agreeing with you. Okay, I misunderstood. I'm so primed for liberals to come in here and yell at me.
Tax. I call it a Trump sales tax because it will be a tax on everyday basic necessities, which the economists have measured will cost the average family nearly $4,000 more a year. And they've previewed our plans. They've reviewed them.
It's like, the question is, again, she's doing the top economist. The question I have to ask you once again is, like, what do you think is the larger number / the larger concern? People who have enough capital, okay, to start a small business and are just like looking for that $50,000 tax cut that will truly benefit them, or people that don't have $400 extra to spend on an emergency? In the United States of America, you don't have to look that far. I know what the number is. It's the second thing, okay? It's people that don't have $400 in their bank accounts to spend on a medical emergency or just any emergency whatsoever. That number is much higher than the people who have like scrounged up enough dollars to be able to start a small business, but this is really going to give them the leg up that they need, okay? It's like laughable to compare either of these things, okay? You're right, you need a day off, making it kind of toxic right now. No, you need a day off because at the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute ad break and you won't see those ads for the entire day if you take a day off. Here's a 3-minute ad break. Now we're going to move on. I'm going to hear what Kamala has to say. Okay, here it is.
Concepts. No actual plan, concepts.
Oh, she's cooking
And understand what's at stake on that. 45 million Americans are insured through the Affordable Care Act. And he's going to end it based on a concept and take us back to when insurance companies had the power to deny people with pre-existing conditions. Well, we are not going back. We're not going back. No. We will move forward. We will move forward because ours is a fight for the future and it is a fight for freedom, like the fundamental freedom of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do. And we know how we got to this issue because Donald Trump handpicked 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe versus Wade, and they did as he intended. And now, in over 20 states in our nation, they have what I call Trump abortion bans, including North Carolina and every single state in the South except Virginia. Think about that. Every single state in the South except Virginia. Now, 1 in 3 women in America lives under a Trump abortion ban, many with no exceptions even for rape and incest. It is immoral. It is immoral. And I know we all here understand and agree one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree the government should not be telling her what to do with her body. And what we know is that the impact of this is, you know, it's been over 2 years now since that decision came down. The impact of this is so real. It's affecting people every day. Just based on the stories we know, and there are so many stories we don't know. Think about it. Because of Trump's abortion bans, women are being refused care during miscarriages. Some are only being treated if they develop sepsis. And when asked on Tuesday night, Donald Trump refused to say that he would veto a national abortion ban. You remember that? He refused to answer that question. Refused to answer that question. Well, I'm going to tell you, when Congress passes a bill to restore reproductive freedom, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law. Proudly. And across our nation, we are witnessing a full-on assault on other hard-fought, hard-won fundamental freedoms and rights, like the freedom to vote, the freedom to be safe from gun violence, the freedom to breathe clean air and drink clean water, and the freedom to love who you love openly and with pride. And North Carolina has a history of the point I'm about to make. Generations of Americans before us led the fight for freedom. And now the baton is in our hands. It is in our hands. So we who believe in the sacred freedom to vote will finally pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act and the Freedom to Vote Act. And we who believe in the freedom to live safe from gun violence will finally pass an assault weapons ban, universal background checks, and red flag laws. So much is at stake in this election. So much is at stake in this election. And understand, this is not 2016 or 2020. For a number of reasons, including why the stakes are higher, because 2 months ago, the United States Supreme Court basically told the former president that he will effectively be immune no matter what he does in the White House. Think about that. Think about that. Just imagine Donald Trump with no guardrails, right? He who has vowed that if reelected, he'll be a dictator on day one, that he will weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies, and has called for the, quote, termination of the Constitution of the United States of America. Think about that. And let us be very clear. Somebody who suggests we should terminate the Constitution of the United States should never again stand behind the seal of the President of the United States. Never again. Never again. Never again. And you know, one of the points that I mentioned on Tuesday, so the people who served under him at the White House, who saw him every day, right? His national security advisor, his defense secretary, his chief of staff, and his vice president, all have warned, all who worked with him every day in the White House, sat with him in the Oval Office, have warned America, Donald Trump is not fit to be president of the United States and should never again occupy our nation's highest office. So and we're not going back. So it comes down to this. It comes down to this. We are here together because we love our country. We love our country. And we understand the awesome responsibility that comes with the greatest privilege on earth, the privilege and pride of being an American. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Right. And so I believe it is the highest form then of patriotism to fight for the ideals of our country and to fight to realize the promise of America. So North Carolina, we have 54 days until Election Day, 54 days, and just 35 days until early voting begins. And it's not only the presidency that's on the ballot. There are many important races, including Josh Stein running for governor, whose opponent picked by Donald Trump and wants a total ban on abortion in this state. Right. So these are the stakes in this election, up and down the ballot, up and down the ballot. But we know the power is with the people. The power is with the people. And your voice is your vote, North Carolina. Your vote is your voice. And we know Here's the thing also. We are loving our campaign, aren't we? We are loving this campaign. We're having a good time. We're having a good time. I know that. But here's also the thing. Ours will be a very tight race until the end, okay? It's going to be a tight race until the end, and we are the underdog. Understand that. We are the underdog. There are powerful forces trying to convince people that their vote doesn't matter. There are powerful forces here, too. But I say all that to say we've got some hard work ahead of us.
Bae, she's talking about AIPAC.
I love about everybody here. We love hard work. Hard work is good work.
She's about to start ripping into Israel. She's like, Donald Trump was right. Elect me and Israel will not exist in 2 years.
With your help, we will win in November. We will win. We will. We will win. So North Carolina, today I then ask you, are you ready to make your voices heard? Do we believe in freedom? Do we believe in opportunity? Do we believe in the promise of America? And are we ready to fight for it? And when we fight, we win. God bless you and God bless the United States.
Yeah, I mean, this is still very much in the same pocket, in the same vein. You know, Donald Trump, I'm the guy, I'm the gal. She has better stage presence. I think she's like developing more confidence. She has more, she has definitely more charisma, I would say, overall. But it's just that I think personally, it's just not going to carry her across the finish line. And what you say at your rallies matters, right? What you say at your rallies matters. What do I mean by this? You are talking to your hyper-focused base. Donald Trump in his rallies goes nutty mode. I mean, he's saying unhinged ass, right? That's his campaign messaging. That's what he cares about. That's what he knows his fans care about. And in a lot of instances, like, he's actually speaking to some of his loyalists, right? He's speaking to the people and reflecting back their most unhinged sentiments. It always strikes me as odd that whenever I listen to Democrats, I feel like Democrats are teaching members in their most like hyper-focused group of support, like what they should be excited for, rather than reflecting back to them what they are excited for. They're like, hey, listen, like, we're going to attack Donald Trump. Listen, we're going to do harm reduction. Listen, we're going to be better than the Republicans. Like, the Republicans, on the other hand, are like, when they go to their rallies, because these are the most loyal supporters, right? These are the people who are diehard. They're like going there and they know exactly what those people want and they're giving that to them, right? And they say unhinged at those rallies. It is really interesting to see this dynamic that, like, Democrats go there with one goal in mind, and that is to be like, listen, you got to vote for us because we're better than those other guys. Like, I don't think that's all people want to hear about. You know what I mean? They are just spoon feeding libs talking points as to why they are the greatest, because these idiots are tribalism incarnate. Biggest writer of Israel as everybody else in the race. Wonderful stuff overall. You will never be able to get a candidate that goes, what the fuck are we doing with like the $7 gazillion we're giving to Israel every day? What is happening there? You know, it's really cool. It's really cool that there is like not really any valid major third party challenger that's like a Ralph Nader type. You know what I mean? Who's like, hey guys, a lot of this seems up, don't you think? Above average anti-Semite. He has takes on specific tribes. Yeah, that's how you know he's more anti-Semitic, because he singled out the Ashkenazi Jews, bro. That's like, it's like the Groypers with their obsession with the Talmud. It's like, most American Jews don't even know what you're talking about. And these are like, I read the Talmud. It's like, what are you? Are you a rabbi? Why did you read the Talmud? What's wrong with you? You know what I mean? It's like the Islamophobes who are like, oh, did you see this surah in the Quran? It says like, you know, the Prophet Muhammad did the pedophilia and loved it or whatever. And it's like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, shut the up. It's the dudes that do like advanced lore to be more transphobic, for example. They like learn everything about trans existence so they can like manipulate it to their transphobic advantages. It's like the weirdos who are super Islamophobic that then like learn all the wrong things about Islam just so they can make a better, more coherent argument about how Muslims are somehow unique in terms of how they operate. Don't you do the same thing to right wingers? Yes, I do. That is why I am so tapped in. That's exactly what it is. Yes, I know my enemy. Okay, my enemy are fascists. My enemy are right wingers. So yes, you are absolutely correct. Yeah, I have no issue with that. Yes. Do you? Do you consider my enemies to not be valid targets? Do you not also consider them to be enemies of mankind? I do. I'm not like Tim Pool. I don't personally think like Ukraine is the enemy of America. I think right-wingers are the enemy of America and the world. Some of them are also liberals.
The presidential election, the candidate stepped away from the campaign trail yesterday to honor the nearly 3,000 people who died in the 9/11 attacks. The nominees shook hands at the event with President Biden at Ground Zero in New York. This morning, the Democrats say they are starting an aggressive new push. Nancy Cortez is covering the Harris campaign in Charlotte.
I'm assuming you mean the extreme right leaning ones and not the ones leaning towards the middle. I mean, the ones leaning towards the middle are Democrats, and I hate them too. So I guess ones leaning towards the middle, I consider to be an enemy of progress. If you are an enemy of progress, you are an enemy of mine. If you're an enemy of standing in the face of improving the material conditions of people all around the world, uplifting workers, then you are my enemy. Okay, that's it.
Nancy, good morning.
Nate, good morning to you. And they're actually using that phrase, aggressive new phase, to describe what she's embarking on now. They say that now that the debate is behind her, the convention is behind her, she can really step up the pace of campaigning. And so she's going to be doing 2 rallies here in North Carolina today, one here in Charlotte.
Is Democrat middle seems like they're the same party. I mean, they're pretty close, at least in the way they message. They are desperately trying to be like, no, we love the Republican Party. We are the Republican Party.
And then in Greensboro, and then she's headed to Pennsylvania tomorrow. They say that they are going to work to capitalize on what they view as major momentum coming out of the debate on Tuesday night. In fact, the campaign says that it's going to be releasing a slew of new ads featuring clips from the debate, with the first one being released today. And now the question is, will they debate again? In a couple of interviews yesterday, former President Trump said he's not inclined potentially to debate again, since in his view, he won the first debate. But as you know, Harris has been...
Yes, I am working class Yankee, adjacent Canadian, but I can't see how it would be politically advantageous for Harris to cede the middle ground to Republicans by moving left. She may pick up some voters by changing her Palestine policy, but I believe that it is too risky to make a drastic change when the election is tight. Nor do I think Stein is capable of winning or governing. In a first past the post election, it doesn't seem wise. First of all, you just said a whole bunch of coming back in and chirping as the libtard Canadian, okay? There is not a single vote that's like, we want more, please, okay? So you're wrong on that front. It would not be risky at all. It's just the media tells you that it's risky, and you have no capacity to analyze this in any way, in a critical capacity. You just like, you hear that being repeated, and you don't even question it at all. You just go, that's the truth, because you're a liberal, okay? Yeah, don't engage with me earnestly. I am engaging with you earnestly. I'm just telling you what it is. I never advocated for Jill Stein, nor do I think that she would win anything. I'm not going to fault people for wanting to vote for her because she like doesn't, there's no valid alternative that's like an anti-vote out there. But having said that, I do routinely make fun of people who are like, if you vote for Jill Stein, she will win. Now, that's number one. Number two, okay? Harris is not ceding middle ground to the Republicans by moving left. That's not a real thing, okay? Harris is currently simply working against her best interests. Kamala Harris has a lot of votes that she could pick up by addressing the real hurt and the real harm that a lot of people have experienced. Now, she's not necessarily charismatic enough to launch a bold campaign regardless, but at least like a couple solid policies here and there that poll very well would genuinely improve her, the way that people look at her. Okay, she's a blank slate. She could use this blank slate, especially at a time when people were tired of Joe Biden, not just because he was old, but also because like they were tired of establishment Democratic Party policies all the way back in 2016. And that problem still exists for a lot of people that are non-voters. She could pick up those people. She could pick up those people by being like, I see you, I hear you, this is what hurts for you, and I'm going to fix that. All right. Instead, She forgot why she was popular to begin with. She forgot why people were excited for her to begin with, and is just trying to make sure that this is as close a race as possible. It's fine. That's what it is. The average middle class is already iffy. No, dude. And by the way, yes, you are a libtard because you say libtard ash. Like, the average middle class is already iffy, okay? Like, you make it seem like if you were to tell people, like, hey, I'm going to give you more health care, okay? Like, if you make policies like, we're going to expand Medicare, okay? We're going to expand Medicare. We're going to lower the eligibility age to like 55. It's the most popular welfare program in the country. It's the most popular government program in the United States of America. Despite its state of disrepair and underfunding, it is still one of the most popular goddamn policies. Expanded to 55. You could just say that. That was Sherrod Brown's take, okay? And that was actually not even progressive enough. I'm a Medicare for All supporter. I'm a nationalization of healthcare supporter. Having said that, however, she could at least go out and be like, the public option. That's what Joe Brandon said, okay? Joe Brandon was like talking about how he's going to do the public option. Never talked about it ever again because he's a piece of, okay? Why is Kamala Harris not doing that at all? It's okay. This is a major issue for people. Another major issue for people is rent. Okay. Housing prices. You're not going to solve housing. Yes, you voted for NDP when you lived in Edmonton. You're a libtard. Okay. NDP is also libtarded. Shut up. And I say this as someone who literally, promoted and played Among Us with Jug Meat. Okay. Shut up. There is no liberal party in Alberta. The NDP was their only non-conservative option. Do you think the NBC fact checker was extremely biased during the debates? You mean the ABC fact checkers? No, they weren't. The only biases that they had was that they were biased towards the truth and doing their goddamn job. And I think because Americans have completely forgotten that, like, you know, normal adults don't say stuff like Trump on a regular fucking basis, especially when they're like running for a powerful position, that they were shocked that like the media for once did their goddamn jobs, dude. Are you kidding me? Hasan, are you voting for the Democratic Party? Absolutely. I'm writing Joseph Robinette Brandon. I mean, they were biased. Yes, they were biased towards U.S. imperialism. That's what they were biased towards. But that's, you know, that's expected. Oh, yeah. All right. Dog, Canada is ruined. I, as a First Nations man, got priced out of the entire country and had to move in with my American native mother in an upstate New York slum. Jesus Christ. Donald has completely lost it. Yeah, they're really going on this. They are really invested in this cat narrative, which I think is kind of funny. YOLO. Let him run with it. New Trump post, by the way, he's declining a second debate. That's unsurprising. All right, let's get back to this.
Pushing for at least one more. Now, as for the endorsement heard around the world, we are told that there were more than 330,000 visitors to vote.gov yesterday after megastar Taylor Swift announced she is backing Kamala Harris and directed her fans to go to that site to register to vote. So a big bump in traffic. We will see if that holds. As part of this aggressive new phase, the Harris campaign says she's going to be doing more local interviews.
I think he will regret that if the polls change dramatically. You will see minimum 2-point bump for Kamala Harris because a lot of people are really like, a lot of people who are voters in general, okay, like they love to vote, okay, those people are just like, they want the permission. They are embarrassed, okay? They're embarrassed to go out and vote for the Democratic Party, and they want the permission to like publicly declare that they're voting, okay? So the Taylor Swift endorsement, the debate performance, a lot of that stuff gets the libtards to be like, oh, I'm voting. Yeah, I'm voting for Kamala. She cooked it. Look at this fan cam. It's like still that vibes-based attitude in some ways, okay? Because her performance was fantastic. Donald Trump's performance, on the other hand, was god-awful. So it will give a noticeable bump, and they will use that noticeable bump to be like, the momentum is still there. I think that beyond that noticeable bump, I think that might hopefully get Trump to come back to the table to do a second debate, because I really want a second debate because it's awesome, especially because he got cooked so hard. Having said that, you are not going to activate people who have previously voted for the Democratic Party but think like, my sucks. I'm not going to vote for Trump, but I'm not going to vote for Kamala Harris either, until you go to them and you say, I'm going to fix the grocery prices situation for you. I'm going to fix your rent situation for you. I'm going to fix your roads, all this. Okay. I'm going to fix your infrastructure. I'm going to bring up minimum wage for you. You're going to make more money. You're going to have more dollars in your pocket at the end of the goddamn year. And we're going to do that. I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you directly. If you run around and you say, we're going to give $50,000 in tax cuts for the startup economy, you're cooked. You're cooked. Okay. That's not tracking well. That's not going to be like the people that you saw in Springfield. Okay. Those people have been over for generations at this point. Okay. And in that that generational aspect, they have become incredibly angry people, incredibly resentful people. They are in a state of disrepair and they're primed to hate. They're primed to get angry at anything and anyone. And the Republican Party expertly goes, hey, guess what, dude? You know who you should be angry at? Black people. And they're like, okay, yeah, I am angry. You're right. It's the Haitians. I don't know how many times I can say this. This will be probably something that I repeat until the day I die. Okay? It is something that I've been repeating for the past 10 years. Economic instability, economic volatility creates an environment, especially caused by austerity and wealth inequality, creates an environment for people to become more and more reactionary, especially when one side is saying, you are angry and you're right to be angry, and it's actually the homosexuals and the Jews and the black people that are responsible for your situation. Meanwhile, they just rob you blind. They run your pockets like the little state you are, okay? And you got nothing going on, especially because on the other hand, the other party is never going, no, dog, it's the rich people. What are you talking about? They run the show. Why are they not saying that? Because they're also run by the rich people. That's it. So be vague. Don't give specific and detailed information. Gotcha. Is that your takeaway from this? You can be as detailed as you want. I think on the messaging front, you can be an advocate for bold policy changes and demonstrate messaging discipline. But yeah, no, you should absolutely say, no, I am going to give you health care. Okay. I already gave you a policy on that front, a policy that is incredibly moderate, by the way. Expanding Medicare coverage to lowering Medicare eligibility to 55 is literally the most almost idiotically bare minimum thing you can do. It's a gimme. It's a literal gimme. It polls at like 70% historically. You do that, you win by Reagan numbers forever, okay? 55 plus are high propensity voters. You give everyone over the age of 55 Medicare, an objectively popular government healthcare system. You are locked in, okay? It's the safest. It is the literal safest thing you can do in terms of expanding healthcare. Okay? It's not even bare minimum. It's beyond bare minimum. That's not vague at all. There's nothing vague about that. That's a direct policy. It's a policy that I gave you an example, like a person like Sherrod Brown in Ohio has run on that policy. Okay? A lot of people, I think, refuse to hear the words that are coming out of my mouth because they have these biases that they're primed to believe, like the Democrats are actually the adults in the room. They must win and the Republicans must lose. And this guy's a naysayer because of some secret reason. It must be because he's just upset about Gaza or something. And he's not telling me the truth. He's just, I don't know, lying, right? Or Hasan, he has only surface level opinions on stuff like this. He never scratches the surface. And then when I do scratch the surface, so many of you don't hear me. It's frustrating. Trump makes people I care about afraid. Immigrants, Muslims, etc. Because of this, I find him reprehensible. God wants better of us. 2016. Yeah. Yeah, we're going to talk about like all the hate that are exploding in Springfield, Ohio. I wonder how many Tyler Oliveira is directly responsible for. Shouts out to Tyler Oliveira. Tyler Hitler Vera. Piece of. But yeah, let's parse over the words of let's parse through the I want the most lethal military of all time conversation one more time, you know? I understand posturing pressure, but the ballot box seems like a simple trolley problem. A conservative federal boot makes local and state progress even more difficult. I know this is not listen to me. I am a committed believer in democracy. Okay? That means I believe in certain fundamental principles, like, for example, that politicians need to earn your vote. This argument is dangerously close, if not directly the underpinning of the harm reduction voter argument. Democrats are not entitled to your vote, okay? Out of fear of the other side, you might make this calculation in your mind, and that's great for you, okay? Go off, kings and queens. If you want to vote for the Democratic Party because harm reduction, that's valid, okay? There's, you know, increasingly less things that you can harm reduce on because the Democratic Party keeps throwing major policy prescriptions away. All right. Having said that, however, that's valid if you want to do that. But you also have to understand, okay? Losing the savior conscience is a shit strategy. You are, because you refuse to listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth. Why are you refusing to listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth? No one votes like that. You are a nerd. You vote like that because you're locked in. Average people don't care about politics because of the attitude that they experience, the things that they experience on their day-to-day basis, okay, in the day-to-day lives. You are privileged enough to care and talk about the privilege that you have and say, I have to vote for this party over the other because the other party will ruin so many other people's lives. And then you want to feel good about it, okay? You want to be like, look at how good I feel. I did the right thing. I did the right thing to stop, you know, undocumented migrants from being purged from American soil. I agree with you, okay? I agree with you on principle in terms of, like, you know, what the Republicans will do if they get their wishes across, okay? Having said that, that's demonstrably not how people vote. Why would they care about being Team Democrat and helping Team Democrat win over Team Republican if Team Democrat is not offering them anything? So when I advocate for the Democratic Party to offer people things so that they get motivated enough to get off the couch, okay, take the leap of faith and vote for the Democratic Party, you come in here and you argue against that principle. You are arguing for the Democratic Party to lose, okay? You are arguing for the Democratic Party to lose. That's what you're doing. And you've done this in 2016. You did this in 2020. You're doing this again right now in 2024. Okay? It's great. It's wonderful that you think the average person, the bus driver, the guy who's like the janitor or the guy working the assembly line, guy working at the Amazon distribution facility is going to, after a long day of work, going to come to the harm reduction voter, but they don't care about that. You want to know why? Because rent is impossible to keep up with. Whatever amount of disposable income you could have potentially had, it's going directly into your rent. It's going directly into your inflation. And they don't care about anything else. Why should they? So you have to go and talk to that person. You have to tell that person. You have to beg that person to come out and vote for you. You have to make sure that that person understands that you are fighting for him or her. But the Democrats don't do that. They just sit around in their ivory towers and they say, if you don't vote for us, fascism will thrive. And that's correct, technically, but ain't nobody gives a fuck about that because from their perspective, they're like, well, I'm dying anyway. Mine sucks. Mine sucked with Trump. Mine sucks with Kamala Harris. Who the f do I vote for? Ain't nobody has my best interest in mind, okay? So you can complain in here about harm reduction voting all day, every day. I'm not disagreeing with you. That's just simply not how politics works, though, okay? And it's inherently undemocratic. Harm reduction voting comes with the entitlement, the attitude that the Democratic Party must not earn your vote, but should take it for granted, okay? So you can be theoretically correct. You can be technically correct. You can send me as many Noam Chomsky videos as you possibly can send me about how he, at the age of 957, when he was there when democracy was invented, says every goddamn 4 years, like, you have to go out and vote for the Democrats out of harm reduction. It's not a question. You can do that every election cycle. I've done it, okay? I've seen it. I've seen it every election cycle that I've covered professionally, okay, since 2016. That does not matter. It does not move the needle, okay? That's it. So it's additionally shocking to me that the libtards in this chat are like, nah, I'm anti-democracy, dog. The Democrats don't need to earn your vote. You need to shut them up and you need to go out and vote for them every single time. But that's not how people operate. So why are you in here advocating for the DNC and their ineptitude if you're not getting paid by them? Because I duke it out with chatters sometimes, and there are notable chatters in this community who do work for the DNC, okay? But at least they're getting pay stubs. You're Canadian. You're not even an American. You're not even an American, dog. Like, how do you just go, nah, dude, you don't understand. Like, this is the right way forward. I've been yelling for months about how the Democratic incompetence in terms of not communicating against the Republican insane reactionary sentiment that the Republicans are just like outwardly declaring about migrants is going to lead us into direct Hitler territory. We are there. Okay, we are there. Times may change, but the tango is to keep requiring partisanship is revolting. What? And it'll be our downfall if not more. Realize and organize. Use the same scare tactics they use on us, on them. What does that mean? What is this? And then the Republicans come back into power and they do Hitlerian policy only to have the Democrats use said Hitlerian policies to their advantage to fundraise and win another election and then not do anything about it. Okay? That's the problem. And that's precisely what the Democrats did with abortion. They waited and waited, and the Republicans kept needling on the issue of abortion. They used the Supreme Court of the United States to take away that right, and the Democrats fundraised off of it. What good is that? What good is that for the red state teenager who is a victim of rape, who can't go and get this medical procedure? What good is that for that person? She's just a talking point. It's disgusting. That's it. You were so much hotter back then. I know. Yesterday was a very different me. I think a lot of people in here, what is this? I think a lot of people in here just feel like our voice isn't being heard in general. I wish there was more outlets for us to make a change. The right also think that voting for Trump to reduce the harm by not letting the left win. Dude, no, they are not. Maybe you're talking about like straight up Nazis on the right, but absolutely not. No, the right demonstrably never vote from a defensive posture. What the are you talking about? No, look at polls. 70% of Republicans say they're voting for Trump, okay? As opposed to around 60 to 70% of Democrats routinely saying they're voting against the Republican, okay? Against Trump. Look at the goddamn polls. They say it. People say it. You think it. That's the funniest part. Because this is a relatively independent, relatively progressive space in comparison to many other outlets online. So you obviously must feel that the party doesn't fully represent your best interests. And even then, you are advocating for the position of someone else, someone that you have read about on MSN or read about on New York Times or seen on MSNBC coverages. And you have like built up in your mind that there is this mythical guy out there. I don't like what the Democrats are doing. I don't like what the Democrats are doing, but there's some other guy out there that really does, and that guy's going to vote. That's literally what you operate on. If you're in here, that means you probably don't like it. That means you probably want more from the Democratic Party. I don't think I have a single goddamn person in here that in their minds thinks like, oh no, the Democrats are doing everything that I want. Like they want exactly that. Like, is there a single person in here that is like, no, I think the $50,000 for startups is a phenomenal policy. You know, I think that permanent in Gaza, phenomenal policy. I am voting for Kamala Harris for these reasons. I am voting for Kamala Harris because she said she wants to have the most lethal military. No, you don't believe that. Okay? You don't. That's why you always do this wishy-washy where you're like, well, I don't really like it, but there's someone out there that must like it. Obviously, these guys are these guys are the adults. Like, I'm sure if they calculated this decision, there's got to be some mythical guy out there who really likes it. And then you don't even, you're also shackled by your own lack of imagination. What do I mean by this? Like, you don't even imagine a guy that fits that dynamic. Like, can you think of a guy, especially in one of these key states like Pennsylvania? Like, you think there's a guy in Pennsylvania that's like, oh, I'm so glad Kamala Harris said she wants a lethal military. Like, I love that. That was like the greatest thing that she said. I'm a big fan. I am the NATO voter. And Trump does this regularly, and we laugh about it, and you think it's funny when I make fun of him. Ain't nobody in Pennsylvania is like, I'm a Viktor Orban voter, right? Nobody's that guy. So it's funny when he says it. The dumb chatters is the acceptance that the vast majority of voters who do not vote in this country are far more left on economic issues than the Democratic Party are. Centrist non-voters are not real. I know. Wait, don't get mad, but why is $50,000 for startups bad? Because it's not a winning strategy, okay? $50,000 in tax cuts for new startups is just silly. Like, it's a silly ass thing to try to win these supposedly much more conservative voters in these swing states. You know, it is a good policy if you want to make childcare more affordable and you want to expand child tax credits. And that kind of still sucks because it's not like a direct cash infusion, right? I wish it was. Like, it just is unnecessarily complicated, but like, that's fine. I'm happy with that. Say that, okay? Run with that over and over again. Kamala Harris was great in the debate. Will that be enough to win? Bernie thinks that he can just like go on MSNBC and be like, I love Cheney saying Kamala Harris is the best. And then he writes this article thinking that a single one of Kamala's like top advisors, most of them are just like, you know, Joseph Robinette Brandon workers, like Joseph Brandon people, are going to take him seriously. They are not. I think Bernard would have had more play if he ran for president. Last time he did that, twice in a row, the Democratic Party had to switch their positions to an objectively more populist, pro-healthcare, pro-social safety nets position. Okay? Straight up. I think he would literally do better if he was just like more active and I don't know, if he was more of a threat, I guess. Or 30 years younger, that'd be great, yeah. It's important that Kamala Harris continues to define and expose Trump, but it might not be enough to secure a victory. No, this argument is the same argument that I make all the time, dude. That's it. The American people want change. That's what Harris must deliver. He's saying, stick to policies. Tell people what you're going to give them. That is like the most basic. That's politics 101. Okay, in a theoretical Western democracy, that's politics 101. It's so funny that we are so far removed from this notion that like voters are not entitled, or sorry, the party is not entitled to the voters voting for them, and that those votes must be earned. We're so far removed from that reality that all the politics understanders in the chat keep yelling about harm reduction, thinking that like the guy who is, you know, having a hard time making ends meet is going to be motivated enough to go out and vote with that attitude alone. They don't give it, dude. You just sound like an annoying little loser to them, okay? And I give it, and you sound like an annoying little loser to me. So you're not really doing anything. Do you get it? Please stop. Like, you're correct. It's great. I love how correct you are, okay? I love how correct you are. It's just not going to work. Because if that worked, Hillary Clinton would have been the president in 2016. And I'm not, Kamala earned my vote by not being Trump law. Sorry. I'm not. No. Do not misunderstand me. If you want to go out and vote for Kamala Harris, if you're on the Mamala train, that's great. Okay. But that's not what we're talking about right now. Do you understand what I'm saying? Or is this something that people are purposely obtuse on because they just don't want to hear what I'm saying at all? Because we're not talking about you. I'm not talking to you. Okay. This isn't about you at all. If you've made up your mind, that's great. Fantastic. Okay. Phenomenal. But if we're talking about strategy, how to get people who are not going to vote for Kamala Harris to go out and vote for Kamala Harris, they have to do certain things. Is this basically just the forced to vote thing again? I feel like this was when, no, I was not for forced to vote. What the fuck are you talking about? This is just like basic electoral politics. This is me putting on my staffer, my analyst hat on to just be like, these are the things that she needs to do. And I use vague terminology for people to understand. I use reductive terms for people to understand better. And then I also dive deeper into policy as well. But like, this is me being like, listen, if you want to win, you got to do these things. If you want to win by wide margins, you got to do these things. And last but not least, and this is the most important part, okay? It's good for the country, okay? It's good for the country. True leadership requires you to demonstrate moral courage, okay? Instead of just sitting around and being like, team sports sweaty. That's why, and I'll say this over and over again. That is why a lot of the other content creators that might tell you the things you want to hear in terms of like the Democrats are the best and the Republicans are meanie bobinis, and that's true. Okay, well, the second part is like those people are so often wrong. Do you think that I'd like have the gift of prophecy or something? No, I think I'm not as radical as what my haters claim I am, especially when we're talking about the election, right? So I mean, really though, what are we supposed to do? Just not vote? You can say I'm an idiot, but it sounds like what? We lose no matter which party wins. People saying voting for Harris is voting for, so we shouldn't do anything, so it doesn't matter at all. I'm just that dumb. I don't know if I'm just that dumb. See, this is the problem. Dude, I never said any of these things. Like, I don't understand where you're coming from. Like,